Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be testing out the camera on the Poco X3 NFC. So this is the front-facing camera right now, recording in 1080p. It has 30 frames per second as well as 720. So what I'm going to do is show you the rear-facing cameras, the 64 megapixel, the wide-angle camera, macro camera, things of that nature, even slow motion mode. So make sure you guys stay locked in with me. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button. Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at the camera in a little bit more detail on the X3 Poco phone, the NFC version. So we have 1080p 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and 4K 30 frames per second, 720 30 frames per second. We also have movie frame mode, macro camera on this guy as well, 64 megapixel mode, portrait mode, night mode. You get slow motion on this guy as well. You can mess around with the aperture. We're going to put it on 2.8 for this particular shot. Let's go ahead, take a picture of this I think it's called a cherry rose plant or something like that, but it smells absolutely delicious. If you ever see one of these plants, just go up to it and put your nose right up on it. It's like literally like cologne or something, or perfume for nature. But go ahead, we're gonna take the front facing camera is actually 720 30 frames per second and 1080 30 frames per second, but we're gonna do a regular photo right now on the cherry blossom. As you can see right there, when they blossom they look like cherries, so that's why they call it that, but actually has some really good detail. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more features on this guy, the 64 megapixel. We're gonna just take a picture of this sign right here and take a look at how it comes out. So everything looks clear, the greens look, pretty true to life. Everything looks really really realistic is what I want to say. It's not overexposed or anything like that. So let's do a quick focus test. So it's still in focus right now. Let's go ahead to the left. Okay, that immediately went into focus. Let's go back to the right. You can see right here, it just stays into the focus when whatever you're looking at is what it's focusing on. So I really think that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at, I'm going to turn off that mode that we were just using, but we still got that. I really like how they got that movie mode because it makes it look really cinematical. And then you have your save your shutter sound, save your last location also. So I'm gonna record in 1080 30 frames per second. So this is actually what it would look like right now. Very stable, very clean as well. So I'm just panning around, taking a look at everything around me, and you can see 1080 30 frames per second on the Xiaomi Poco X3 NFC. So it's a really long name to say, but you can see right here, I could zoom in up to, like 8 times or something like that. 8 or 6, I can't remember, but it actually focuses in really well when you zoom all the way in. So everything seems to be really clear when I'm zooming all the way in. So I definitely like that part. And when you're zooming in, the stabilization is still really good as well. So it's not like it's bouncing around or shaking a whole lot. It feels like I'm working with like a gimbal or a tripod or something right now, even though it's just in my hand. So I think that's pretty cool about the footage on here, is that it's super stable and you could use it for pretty much outdoor situations because it won't be bouncing around when you have the phone in your hand. You could be walk, jog, whatever you want to do, and you can put that image stabilization mode and it'll actually be nice and steady. So let's go ahead. This is the outdoor visibility of the phone. It looks really clear. I didn't have any issues with it, even though it's an IPS display outdoors, so I was able to see all the buttons and everything of that nature. But let's go ahead and turn this up to 60 frames per second, 1080 60 frames per second. So this is what it would look like on 1080 60 frames per second. Objects appear a little bit more smoother. Everything just seems to flow. It has like this natural movement to it, so it's still got the image stabilization on there as well. Very stable. You can see motion is really smooth on this thing. So I'm just walking across the street and It's definitely usable on 1080 30 and 1080 60, so I definitely like that part. So we're still walking. It's 1080 30. I'm sorry, 1080 60 right now, and it was a lot more steady than I had thought. Now, just focusing in on these flowers, it doesn't seem to do like a autofocus on these flowers right now. Maybe because I'm on 60 frames per second instead of 1080 30 frames per second. But you could always just tap the screen like I did right here and got like a focus right there, so you can see what I'm talking about. And now we're on 4K, so this is the 4K. I was expecting it to be shaky on 4K, but it's not shaky on here. It's actually smooth, just as smooth as it was on the 1080 30 and the 1080 60. So I was actually really impressed with how smooth it was when I was walking on 4K. A lot of the times when you use 1080 60 and 4K 30, you won't get image stabilization, but I'm kind of glad that they kept that on here, and you could really appreciate and use this thing to its, you know what I'm saying, full capacity now, because all the image is gonna be super clean. On the front facing camera we have 1080 30 frames per second. On the back of the camera, we have 30 frames per second on the front, and 30 frames per second, 720 as well. So you know what I was trying to say, 720 30 frames per second and 1080 30 frames per second. So let's just go ahead and take some footage 1080 30 frames again, but this time we're in the park. So I just wanted to show you how it would look when I'm around a lot of people, a lot of things moving around me, a lot of different things happening. So let's take a picture right now and get a still shot. You can see it just has some really good detail. I zoomed in, I couldn't read the flavors on there, but it still was really good and it kept a lot of detail.
Hey, what's going on, guys? One thing I do like is that when I'm recording on the video on the front-facing camera, the music doesn't stop. I'm listening to my headphones right now, listening to music, and I can still hear the music and do the vlog at the same time. So that's actually pretty cool. But this is the front-facing camera when I'm not walking around. 1080 30 frames per second.
Now at this point, I'm just going to do a random montage of, like, you know what I mean, like what I was seeing throughout the day. I was taking like some really short clips so you could kind of see the detail on the video in broad daylight and even in lower light, but you can see the focus, the and also the zoom is really clear. It doesn't get blurry when you're at maximum zoom, which I like. I hate when it gets blurry, but I was able to like spot out a plane in mid-flight, and it did get a little blurry because I was, you know, thousands of feet away from the object I was looking at, but I was still able to see a lot of detail, which was pretty cool. And then in the nighttime, the motion was still really good. I actually recorded this as a slow-mo shot, and it came out fast on the phone. So when you convert it to a video and put it in another video, you have to slow it down. So I just kept it at regular speed, but you could see that zoom, even at nighttime, kept a lot of the details. It didn't grain out and put grain on the screen. It still remained very clear. And you know, even though it was dark, I liked that. You know what I'm talking about? There was some light flickering, but not from my camera. It was from something else that was giving a glare on my face right here. As you can see, like if you look at my eye, it was on my face. But yeah, this was a really solid you know what I'm saying, camera front and back as well.
the macro camera, macro video mode.
Now this thing also does have a macro camera video mode, but the macro camera video mode is at the 720p by default. It can't be changed to 1080 30 frames per second or 4K. So you're going to be getting this really close up focal point, like a microscopic camera. Very good for getting detail at least from like 3 to 5 centimeters away from an object. You can get really close and get a lot of detail with that camera. But let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll get right back with you later, crew.